I'm sorry. Hey, everybody. I am Scotty T, and it is an honor to have this is a top shelf comedian, writer, actor. Chris Monty is here. Chris, as I said, it's an honor to have you here, my friend.
Thank you for having me. It's glad to be had.
Okay. Okay. Well, now let's not get too giddy yet. We're going to start. We're going to go back to the beginning if we can. Let's first establish you're in New York. Is that right?
I am in New York. I am on the borderline, technically the borderline of Queens, New York, and Nassau County, New York, which is like Long Island,
Okay.
Queens borderline.
Were you born and raised in that area?
Yes, I am from the area.
Okay.
I bounced around for a little bit in my younger adult life. I lived in Manhattan for a little while. I lived in Central Queens for about 20 years. And
Okay.
about 5 years ago, my wife and I bought a house in the lovely town of Floral Park.
Floral Park. Well, that way people can come and visit you.
I will give out my house number.
Yeah. All right, let's go on. I want to start, like I say, kind of get back to the beginning. I know you've been doing comedy. I think it's over 20 years or so now or more.
27 years this July.
27 years. Okay. So take me back to the beginning. Like I was class clown in high school. Take me
Uh,
back to the beginning. When did it start? And was there a catalyst? Was there something said, Chris, do
yeah,
comedy?
for me, it was probably like the late 70s, the early 80s. I was a little boy,
Okay.
and we're at a family party, and my cousin Rich dressed me up like Jackie Gleason. Like he dressed me up like
Oh
like
man.
he dressed me up like Ralph Cramden. He put on like a navy blue zip up. He had like a bus driver hat. He put it on me, and he sent me out into the living room where the adults were, and I started doing. He told me what lines to say. I started doing Jackie Gleason lines from The Honeymooners, and he got a
Wow.
big laugh, and that was it. And then after that, when I was about maybe 7 years old at the time, and my parents, we would always have like back in them days, Saturday night you sat around the TV with the family if you didn't go out anywhere, and you watched something family friendly because
Right.
I had a brother and a sister. So I never forget Red Skelton. I don't know if you remember the comedian Red
Sure.
Skelton. Red Skelton was on cable at the time. I forget what channel, if it was WHT back then, if it was HBO. But Red Skelton had a comedy special. Now, Red Skelton at this time of his life is probably in his early to mid 70s.
70, yeah.
And he was doing stand up again, and he was recording specials. And my parents saw that was on that night, and they said, "Oh, we can watch this," because they knew Red Skelton was a clean comedian.
Right.
And I fell in love with Red Skelton. I fell in
Okay.
love with his monologues, and I just since then I always wanted to be a comedian. And I was every time there was a family party, I was doing some shtick to make people laugh.
Well, you took me back there. As I told you before we started, I'm 62. And I remember my father doing Jackie Gleason. How
Oh,
sweet it is. He drink the
oh
coffee.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God. He took me back there.
yeah.
That Red
My
Skelton.
dad, my dad is 83. God bless him, and he'll still do Gleason lines like that.
Yeah, how sweet it is, the coffee. I
How
still
sweet it is.
my father. Man, you just took me back. One of your latest projects, I want to bring it up because one of my friends is there in it. Married, single, and a baby.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's you guys just did one a week or so ago. Do you want to tell everybody about that?
We were just up in Chester, New York, um, at the um, at the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. We're supposed to
Yep.
get a return date with them for the
Yep.
next maybe
And
next
let
fall.
me just
But
interject. Let me just interject. You did one months ago or a year or so ago, right? You did another one of these?
we've been doing it. Yeah, we've been doing it this whole year. So we have, periodically we have shows. We
Right.
we did a bunch of them in New Jersey. We did a bunch of them in Pennsylvania. We're going to be coming this November 1st. We'll be on Long Island at the Brokerage Comedy Club in Belmore. Governors at the Brokerage.
Wow.
The idea of the show is it's basically a stand-up comedy show with Vanessa Hollingshead and Joe Bobowitz and myself. It's
Okay.
basically a themed
Right.
relationship themed show.
Right.
So it's three, comedians separately doing a 30-minute set, but each has a different take on
Yeah.
where they're at in their life with their relationships, parenthood, etc. Vanessa's single. Joe got married late but doesn't have any children. I got married late and became a dad late, and
Right.
that's my, my
Right.
take on things. So it's a fun show. And anybody who's married or been married or a parent just loves the concept
Yeah.
and loves the material.
Well, you mentioned Vanessa Hollingshead. She was nice enough to come on this show, and
Yeah,
she
Vanessa's
she's
very, very funny.
she is a comedy legend like yourself, and I have nothing but the utmost respect. Now, Joe, I don't know. Maybe you can help me. I'll try and get him on if he wants to come
I
on.
can get Joe on for you. That's
I
no
would love
problem.
that. I would love that
Joe's a good
because
friend of mine,
I
and he's another vet.
support I support all comedians, but someone like Vanessa who doesn't like doing them, and she did it, and she told me she had a good time. It put a lot of pressure on me with you, and then with Joe. God knows what's going to happen, but I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'll definitely get Joe on. Maybe we can
I'm
get him
kidding
on.
you. Let's move on with you, my friend. Dry Bar comedy special called "What's the Worst Thing Could Happen."
No, actually, the Dry Bar special was Just Be
Okay.
Happy, and my Amazon Prime special was What's the Worst That Could
Oh,
Happen.
okay. I'm sorry. I
That's all
apologize.
right.
Well, you've done so much because I mean we got to get to the acting stuff. You've done a movie with Paul Blart Mall Cop, all kinds. I got wrote down all kinds of stuff.
Wow, you really have no life. We got to
Oh,
get you a
gee,
hobby, Scott.
oh Jesus! Let me tell you, there, meathead. You come.
Got to get you a hobby, buddy.
Yeah, I show respect to every guest that comes on.
I appreciate the research because a lot of times you do these shows and
Well,
and and they don't they read one thing that you've done and that's all they talk
no,
about,
no,
you
no,
know.
no, no. I don't want to toot my own horn, but Jeff, I don't know if you know Jeff Greenberg. I know we're going to get to Steve
I know
Goldberg.
Jeff. Actually, we did a
Jeff
horror gig
Jeff
together
wrote this
last year.
weekend. Steve Middleman put something up, and Jeff Greenberg said I was on, and Scott is the Merv Griffin of interviewers. So there you go.
That's a nice compliment.
Well, anyway, so the Dry Bar comedy special, I brought that up because I've had Jan Karam, a lot of people on the show that have done them, and
Uh-huh.
special kind of clean. You have to be really squeaky clean to do those, right?
Yeah, you're in Mormon country when you tape it. You
Right,
tape it out of Utah. And so they want it to be squeaky clean and it's called dry bar because there's no alcohol served at the show. And
right.
not to say my Yeti wasn't filled with something that was other than water or coffee. But
Okay,
yeah, I actually shot mine out in Utah. We shot it out there. I actually filmed it the last weekend in January of 2020, so like a week
okay.
before the whole pandemic thing started.
Okay. Okay. So then
Um,
tell me about the what's the worst thing can happen. Now that's on Amazon.
that's on Amazon Prime. That's an older
All right.
special. So I shot that one in 2000. I want to say the fall of 2017, and it was released a year later. It was
Okay.
released in May of 2018. So a lot of that material is older as far as where
All
I'm
right.
at in my life right now. Like I had just gotten married and I hadn't had any children yet,
All right.
but it's a good special to see, a whole different set of material than what I'm talking
Sure.
about now. So it's about
Okay.
almost just under an hour, and that's
All
on
right.
Amazon Prime.
Okay. Now again, we're going to try and cover more. The acting, you've done a lot. You mentioned some of those that you've done, but I wrote down Paul Blart Mall Cop too because I wonder what it was like to work with Kevin James.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I was at a roast. I'll tell you how I got to be in the movie. I was at a roast of Richie Minervini, who's another guy you should get on the show. He's a
Look,
legend in comedy.
you can get him on,
Uh,
I'll have him. All right.
I'll get him on for you.
Done deal.
Uh, Richie was turning 60, and this was about
Okay.
2013. He was turning 60, and so they decided to roast him because he had never been roasted. And
Okay.
he's good friends with Kevin James,
I
and
see.
he was on a lot of episodes of The King of Queens. And so Kevin, we had it out on Long Island at a catering hall, and Kevin was in the audience, and I had a great set. I did my 5 minute set roasting Richie, and then after the show. I was at the bar and Kevin James came up to me and said, "Hey, I really enjoyed your stuff. This is my wife,
Oh,
blah blah
cool.
blah, and I really thought you were funny." And I said, "Oh, thanks so much. I love your work." And it was the first time meeting him. And then about 2 weeks later, he called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing a sequel to Paul Blart Mall Cop, and I'd love you to be in it." And he just called me and gave me the
Fantastic.
part over the phone.
Wow. Great
Yeah,
story.
that was surreal.
Well,
Then
let
I
me,
get
let me
flown out to
ask,
Las Vegas. We shoot it in Las
again, I
Vegas
don't
at
want
the
to
Win.
seem like I don't have any hobby, but, do you enjoy acting as much as doing stand up or not as much or
I enjoy it in a different way because it's acting is a lot. Well, people that don't know when you're doing TV shows and you're doing film, it's a lot of standing around and waiting
That's what I
to
hear.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
also there's a lot of waiting once it's done, because I've had
yeah,
writers on that never ever gets aired, and there's stuff like
right.
that.
I've done numerous television commercials that never went to air.
Yeah,
I got
right.
paid for them, but I didn't make the extra money because it never went on air. But
That's
yeah,
what I heard as
stand up
well.
is the instant fix because you go in, you do your show. Like actually, later on this evening, I have a show for a golf event fundraiser at 7 o'clock tonight out on Long Island. I'm gonna drive out about 6 o'clock and do a show from 7:15 to about 7:45. Do about a half
Okay.
hour set while they just finish up their dinner. They have a little entertainment. But it's right there. You get out there, you go boom, boom, boom. You got the crowd reaction. It's live, so it's a
Okay.
better rush.
Right.
It's a better thrill of enjoyment. But I enjoy acting as well. It's just a
Yeah.
little different, like when you're
Okay.
acting. All right, I got a nice payday coming today, but I'm going to be 8 hours of maybe I work about an hour each night of
An
being a
hour
guest.
out of it. Right. I
Yeah.
had someone on the other day that said she sat in her trailer the whole day.
Yep. That
She
happened to
didn't
me
get.
the
Yeah, she
first
said,
day of
and then
Mall
they never
Cop
called.
2.
Yeah, never called her.
First day of Mall Cop 2, I didn't work at all. I just kind of hung out the whole day and watched them shoot scenes. And then the second day we
Did
shot.
did you actually get paid for that day?
You get paid for your travel day,
Wow.
you get paid for your shoot days,
What a
and your
good
travel day
gig.
back home. You get paid for every day. It's great.
I love it. I love it. You mentioned Red Skelton. I was wondering if there's other comedians that inspired you, and then comedians that you like today.
Inspired definitely. I used to beg my mother to at 11:30 at night to let me stay up and watch Johnny Carson's monologue.
Okay.
So as a young kid, I loved Skelton, I loved Carson, I loved Carlin, I loved
Yep. I had a
Pryor.
conversation with George.
Yeah, I love both of those guys. I loved Cosby.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
as a kid, those are the guys that made the impression on me. I liked some of the older comedians too, like Jack Benny and Milton
Yep.
Berle, and
Right. Right. Right.
we used to watch the Dean Martin roasts,
Sure.
and
Sure.
all those old timers were on there, and I loved all of those. And
Yeah.
then in the modern day, there's so many great comedians. I love Chris Rock. I love Sebastian
Right.
Maniscalco. I
Right.
love
Right.
Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Kevin
Right.
James was a great comedian before he
Okay.
strictly became in. He's doing stand up again now, thank God.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, those
Got
guys.
it.
When I started, Ray Romano and Kevin James were just on the cusp of getting famous. So those were the guys I would see in the clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's your style.
Yeah, I mean, like an autobiographical comedian.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm holding a couple nuggets for the end because, well, I'll do one. I'll do one now. Okay. I think you're a great dad
okay.
because I saw a Facebook post. I think it was Facebook last week or something, and you were teaching the girls math.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell the people?
So I watch horse racing.
Right.
And my daughters turned to me and they said, "Dad, can we watch cartoons and not horse racing?" And I said, "Hey, I'm teaching you math. This is how you learn math. We got the one horse. It's 10-1."
Teaching them odds, teach them all about math. You're a good dad, man. You're a
My
good
wife
dad.
would come home. I'm home during the day, so because I'm a comedian, that's what I do for a living. And my wife will come home from school. She's a teacher, and the horse racing channel will be on, and she'll say, "Did you even feed your children lunch?" And I said, "Hey, honey, they know they never eat before the third race."
I'm glad I brought it out.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you're funny. Favorite show, in other words, and you can include the acting, whatever. The favorite and then the least favorite where things didn't go so good.
Oh, for me,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, no, no.
I thought you meant like what was my favorite TV
No,
show.
I know. People, I watched Seinfeld one time. No, what show that you
No,
did? Show that you did,
favorite.
and then one where it didn't go so good.
Oh, that's a tough question. I have a couple of gems.
Go
Um,
ahead. I'll give you two. I
I'll
like
give you
you.
two. I'll give you two shows
Okay.
that I always remember. Um, and I've opened for like BB King, and I've
Yeah.
opened for Paul Reiser, and I've opened for some great big acts. The Drifters, the Duprees, all the old groups.
Oh,
But
cool.
I got a job, probably about I want to say about 10 years ago, maybe longer, maybe about 2010, 2011,
Okay.
somewhere in there. I got a job opening for Joan Rivers.
Oh, wow.
And so I get to the theater. It's at a theater in Connecticut. And I get to the theater. I'm early. I'm in my dressing room. She comes down and meets me. She was very, very nice. And it was the first time I was opening for her. And she had been on the road touring. And every time she goes on the road, she would never bring an opener with her. They would just send somebody over from a local comedy club, and those acts, she told me they were horrible. She goes, I'd have to pull them off after 10 minutes. But
Right.
she had seen my clips and she thought I was a solid, act.
Yeah.
And so I'm on stage. I had asked her, how much time do you want me to do? And she said, do 20 minutes. It was the first time I was opening for her. She's like, do 20 minutes. That's fine. So I'm on stage and it's 1,500 seat theater. It's sold out. And I'm about 3 minutes, 4 minutes in, and I'm crushing. I mean, I'm just having a great set already. The crowd is in a great mood. And I look over, and there on a stool in the wings is Joan Rivers with her hands on her wrists, on her hand, her chin on her hands, and she's watching me with a big smile on her face. And then I
Man,
and then I turn back and I pace back away from her, talking to the audience. And in my mind, I'm going, "Holy shit, Joan Rivers is watching
yeah,
my set right now."
that's cool. You
And
might let me
after
just
that,
stop. Can I interject real quick? Tom Padovano, do you know Tom or
I
Helene
don't
Witt?
know Tom.
How about Helene Witt? Do you know Helene?
I know Helene Witt.
Yeah,
Yes,
Helene wrote jokes for Joan Rivers, and so did Tom Padovano.
I wrote two jokes for Joan Rivers as
Oh,
well when
did
she
you?
had a radio show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next story. Go
So,
ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
but yeah,
interrupt.
no, that's fine. But in my mind, I'm like, wow, Joan Rivers. And after that, anytime she was in the Northeast, I
You
was
were
her opener. She would
ah,
call me, and then it
wonderful.
was after that, Scott, it became do 30 minutes, and she wouldn't even leave her dressing room because she knew I
That's
had it. Like
cool.
she wasn't
That's
worried about me.
wonderful. Wonderful
That was
story.
great that first time. And then another great show I had was like today, I'm doing a golf event. Golf events, I do a lot of them. They really don't need a comedian. You got, 100, 200 people, mostly men. They've been playing golf since 11 o'clock in the morning. They started drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. No joke. It's usually some big
I
corporation
I
or some big fundraiser.
I
They come,
know.
yeah, they come back to the country club at 4 o'clock, 4:30. Cocktail hour begins.
They're
Then
gassed up.
dinner begins, and then after dinner they do an award ceremony, and then they do a comedian. It's just too much. Clark Gillies, the former and God rest his soul, the late great former New York Islander hockey player, had
Okay.
seen me a few times, became friendly with me, asked me to perform at his country club, and then asked me to perform at his golf outing. He raises money to help children. He passes away 3 years ago. He passes away in November. The following August is the golf event he had asked me to do. He had booked me to do. So
Right.
I didn't know if I was still doing it because he had passed away. But his wife reached out to me and said, Clark really loved you, and we'd really like you to come and still
Okay.
perform at the golf event. So I went, and this is like now I'm in the room full of current New York Islander hockey players and legend retired New York Islander hockey players, plus like Boomer Esiason, you name it, baseball, football greats. Like it's a whole audience of who's who of sports.
Oh wow.
And in my mind, I'm like, this can suck. I can bomb. I can totally bomb because I'm again in a situation where comedian's not really set up for a comedian. But I go out, they just asked me to do a 15-minute set, and I killed for 15 minutes. And after my set, all these sports celebrities who I idolize
Right.
are
Right.
coming up
Right.
to me to take a picture with me. And I was like, that was like and my wife was with me to see it. And it was like one of the coolest nights. So those two always will stick out as fun, surprisingly, great shows that went great. And I've had tons of great shows. Like I said, I opened for BB King. I opened for Paul Reiser, who I got to be in Red Oaks, the television show with.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but those two stick out. Worst show, I'm on stage at the beginning of my career. A guy is running a bar show on a Wednesday at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. It's in the summer, and like the Yankee game is on TV. It's like, and this is the kind of bar where it's a gin mill. This is the kind of bar where guys get off work and they go to knock a few back after a hard
Gotcha.
day's work.
Gotcha.
And they're not coming in, you're not going to
Yeah.
hang
You're
out in this
not. They're
bar to
not
eat
there to
dinner
see
with your wife.
comedy. Right.
And I'm on stage, and some guy who was a plumber or some sort of blue collar working with his hands guy, because he's wearing a tool belt as he's smoking and drinking his beers, He turns around during my show and throws a monkey wrench at me. It hit the floor and slid towards my feet, and I jumped over it and I said, "Thank you, good night."
Thank
And
you.
I was
Good
only about
night.
10 minutes into my set, and I walked over to the booker and I said, I don't know what I was getting paid, $50. I go, I
Right.
don't care if you don't pay me the $50. I don't want shit
Yeah,
thrown
I'm
at
not.
me during
Yeah.
my show. And he
Kathy
said,
Ladman.
absolutely.
Kathy Ladman told a story similar to that. She was in Philadelphia and she was just starting out. Do you know Kathy?
I know Kathy.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Kathy.
we worked
Kathy.
together, but it's so funny. Since a week ago, I got booked for a gig, and somebody said, "Oh, we had Kathy Ladman last year. She was great. We loved her. We want to have you this year." And since her name came up, like her name just keeps circling me, so I'm bound to run into
Anyway,
her.
nothing wrong. Just that she was performing one of her first shows, and they started throwing stuff at her. And
Oh,
she said that she was so new. She was like, "Thank you, thank you,
right.
thank you." Oh, good arm.
It's you do what you
Well,
got to do.
this seems to be going really swimmingly, and you steered me right to the story you were talking about. All your favorites and Boomer Esiason and this and that. So we're going to mention Steve Goldberg, who Steve was nice enough to set this up. And Steve and I have become very good friends. And again, I saw your coffee mug in one of your videos, and it was a New York Jets coffee mug.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember
Jets.
telling Steve that, I saw Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath play a football game at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and so I wanted to tie that in, but I wanted to thank Steve for setting this up. And he mentioned to me that you were the star in his pilot called Live, Laugh, Lesson. Is that right?
Oh, life's laugh lessons,
Life, Laugh, Lesson. I'm sorry. Yeah, I read it wrong.
which is a very confusing title, but
Yeah, I
um,
thought the same thing.
yeah, Steve co-wrote it with a guy named Carl, who's a comedian in New Jersey, and oh, we shot a pilot for the show. We actually shot it during the pandemic,
Okay.
and it didn't really get any traction where it got picked up by anybody. They tried
Right.
selling it, but it was a really cool um um show based on a comedian who has been around a long time but never really became famous, and then
Yeah.
decides, you know what, I'm going to teach comedy.
Yeah.
And the first week of the class, the pandemic hits, and now we have to do everything on Zoom, and we have to learn how to live life on, like we're doing now. You live
Yeah.
life, but like this has become more comfortable now since the pandemic.
Okay.
When the pandemic hit, I was doing shows on Zoom. It was awful.
Oh, yeah.
But so yeah, so Steve co-wrote that, and he was nice enough to
Well,
cast me in it.
I think also you're a New York Mets fan.
I'm Mets, Jets, New York Islanders, and New York Knickerbockers. So I
Okay, well,
suffer
I'm a
all
Knickerbockers
seasons.
fan. I'm a New York
You?
Knicks fan. Yeah, I
Yeah, I'm a
am.
Knicks fan.
But I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. And do you
Okay,
remember
my team is
1969
playing
when
your
the
team
Mets
this
won
week.
their first World Series?
Yep, I wasn't alive yet. I
I,
wasn't alive
I
yet. I
was.
was born in
I
I was born in
was.
I was born in '72, so I'm right behind you by a
Okay.
decade.
Well, I just see that. And Steve, it's funny because one of my best friends is a Jets fan. And this year he would send me texts every time the Eagles played. I'm an Eagles fan. And he would send me texts, that idiot coach of yours. I was like, would you shut up?
Right.
Nothing bothers me more than I'm trying to watch football and Steve sending me messages. I can't believe they didn't go for it. Would you stop?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I hate that.
But no, like I said, because, and especially when Aaron Rodgers was there, I made a pact with Steve. I said, Steve, I really want the Jets to, and he said, we'll never make the playoffs. I said, if they make the playoffs, you got to come back. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, I guarantee that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the AFC Championship game this year.
Yeah, I said, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Now I got to root for Pittsburgh.
It's unbelievable. It's been a life of
Yeah.
suffering between all my teams. I got to see the '86 World Series. I got to see my hockey team win 4 Stanley Cups in a row. But
Okay.
it's been a very long time since I've got to celebrate. Last year's Met season was
It was
surprising
good.
and
Yeah,
very
you
fun.
got the playoffs, didn't you?
we got to game 6 of the National League Championship game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was fun, and I really was happy with them, and I wasn't upset that they didn't win the World Series because I didn't think they were going to beat the Dodgers. But just the fact that from
Yeah.
June until October they went on an amazing run.
It's wonderful.
It was great. One of the most fun seasons as a
Yeah.
baseball fan.
Well, I didn't mean to steer it that way. I just wanted to jab you a little bit and tease you about your
You can
sports.
jab me. Listen, I've
No,
been hurt
no.
so
I'll
much
tell
with the
you what. I'll
Jets.
make a
Nothing.
pact to you. When the Jets make the playoffs this year, I was thinking about you and Steve. We'll get you together. We'll have have a little trio.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll do a Jets
I
pre-show.
think if the Jets make the playoffs this year, we better invite a lot of people.
Let me tell you something. I think the Jets are surprisingly going to be good this year. To be
I
competitive.
who knows? It's true.
You
I would
know,
have never thought my Eagles were going to win the World Series or win the Super Bowl last year.
Super Bowl.
Never. Yeah,
No,
I would have
and you
never
got to
thought
see
that.
it twice in the last couple of years.
I know, and I'm happy. I didn't. I was hoping to get one before I died. Well,
And
my
you got
friend, we
two.
don't have a lot of time left. I know you're going to do your comedy minute for me. You got something special set up, but I want to make sure we covered everything. Is there anything you want to mention? I'll put the links to your website, your Facebook, your Instagram, all your links. But anything you want to mention to people besides the um, married, single, and a baby?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can go to chrismontylive.com and
Right.
check out my live performance schedule. And you can check out marriedsingleandbaby.com as well. Like I said, we're coming to a couple places in the fall. We're going to be in South
Right.
New Jersey at the Pittman Theater on November 14th. We're going to be at the brokerage in Belmore, Long Island on November 1st. And then
Okay.
in February, we're going to be back at the Emmaus Theater in Pennsylvania. So we got some more dates to come too on that.
Well, and Vanessa said she's coming back, so we'll keep promoting it. I'll do everything I can to help.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man.
I think you're wonderful. You are fantastic and so funny. But if we don't have anything else, I want the show is called Your Comedy Minute, and you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, and I'll just do a form
Did you ever
introduction.
have Glenn Jensen on?
What's that?
Did you ever have comedian Glenn Jensen on your show?
No, but we'll talk. Anyone you say, listen, Chris, you say
Well, I'm
it.
going to give you a joke, my comedy minute. I'm going to give
All
you a
right,
street
here we go.
joke
Hang
that
on
I
a second.
heard that.
Let me do a formal introduction. Chris Monty, your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
And I give credit to hearing this from my great pal Glenn Jensen, a fine comedian.
Okay.
But it's a silly joke, and I will give you all. Uh, a lion is jungle. He's chasing a rabbit, and the rabbit goes down into the rabbit hole, and the lion buries his face into the hole and starts to burrow his head in. And he burrows his head in, and as he burrows his head in, he gets his head stuck, and his rear end is sticking in the air. And all of a sudden, a gorilla comes walking up and sees the ass of the lion and says, "Oh, what the hell?" And he starts hitting him from behind, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
Well, the
got it.
lion feels this and he starts to pull his head out. And all of a sudden, the gorilla sees the head come out and he takes off like a bat out of hell. And the lion chases after the gorilla and they run all the way out of the jungle into civilization. And the gorilla runs into a train station and he sits down in a chair real quick and he picks up a newspaper and puts it over his face. And the lion comes running in and goes, "Hey, anybody see a gorilla run through here?" And the gorilla goes, "Are you talking about the one that just plowed you in the ass?" And the lion says, "It's in the newspaper already."
Double bonus. Oh my
Funny
God,
joke.
that was funny as heck.
Well,
I
thanks for
love
letting me
it.
tell my street jokes.
Yeah, do another one real quick. You have another one you want to throw at me? Go ahead, do one more.
Oh, I got millions of them.
Sure.
Uh, let's see. I'll give you my favorite sports joke.
All right, go
Guy goes
ahead.
into the bar with his guy goes into the bar on Sunday with his dog. He says to the bartender, "You mind if my dog sits with me? He likes to watch the Jets with me." And the bartender says, "Ah, if you don't pee or poop, he's fine to sit in the chair with you." So all of a sudden the guy orders a beer and the Jet game is on and the Jets go down the field and they kick a field goal. As soon as they get the field goal, the dog jumps up on the bar and does 3 tumble salts and then 3 backflips and then sits back down. And the bartender says, "Wow, that's amazing. Does he do that every time the Jets score?" And he goes, "Yes, he does." The guy goes, "Yes, he does." And the bartender says, "What does he do when the Jets win?" The guy goes, "I don't know. I've only had him 15 years."
Oh, that's wonderful stuff.
Yeah, man.
I
Thank you.
love it. I love it.
You can
And
follow me on TikTok. I do street jokes every day on TikTok. I just
oh,
tell one
okay.
joke a day.
Well, and
You know, just jokes
I'll
like that. Guy walks into a bar, guy goes to the
yeah.
doctor, just jokes like that.